TK, it's Doug the neighbor. I'm back from my trip. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing better now since I didn't get any calls from the police or the hospitals of El Paso. But then I thought, well, there's a lot of land between Austin and El Paso, so he could be on the roadside, he could be, and who knows? But you're back. You're safe. It looks like you got 10 fingers, 10 toes.
Yes, I
So,
do. Yes, I do. And I noticed that you did a very good video, number 93, about where's Doug the neighbor. And I
yep,
appreciate your concern. And I did send the video concerning Rosa's Cantina to prove that I was out there in El Paso.
yes, yes.
Yes. And that's kind of a cool situation out there in El Paso because back in 1959, that Donovan Highway was a major highway out of town, and Rosa's Cantina was there, and Marty Robbins stopped to have a taco, and he decided to write the song right then and there. And of course, in El Paso, it's a legendary song. So.
Yes, that's your theme song.
Yes, it's a theme song. Maybe we can get Kevin, the magnificent computer dude, to post a picture of Marty Robbins with the song El Paso, just a picture. So, okay.
Okay.
So this is very good to be back and I'm here for our chat, our Wednesday night chat. And this is our 94th podcast chat on Wednesday night. And I have a story at why I went out to El Paso, Texas. Now, I went to high school and college out there in El Paso, and it was a fraternity reunion. So I went out to see my fraternity brothers. Now they're all old. They're all really, really old. You see, they're losing it. They're old goats, as I call it. But there's some certain things that happened on the trip that are kind of interesting. And I
Whoa.
don't know where that came from. I don't know. But anyway, first off, I flew out on Southwest. Here in Texas, Southwest is a staple. Okay. Now, flying out, the airplane was not full. And so I have a video of the knee room, the room for the knees for us big guys, because you
Mhm.
remember when I went to Canada and I had that picture of a video of knee room and I was jammed in there. Well, I have a short video of the amount of knee room that is there at Southwest. And God bless Southwest, boy, lots of knee room. There you go. And here's a video to prove it.
Oh. Yeah. Well, Douglas, that's true because I've been flying a little bit, and I do notice that it's tight.
Is there at Southwest. And God bless Southwest, boy, lots of knee room. There you go. And here's a video to prove it.
Oh. Yeah. Well, Douglas, that's true because I've been flying a little bit, and I do notice that it's tight. You know,
It's
it,
tight.
it's
Yeah.
tight, and the
So
seats
we're
are
going to have a
narrow.
Camp Kennerk podcast airline knee index. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Near,
Yeah.
now I've done Canada, Air Canada, and now I've
Mhm.
done Southwest. So if you fly, you're going just take a
Well,
video of
I'll
it.
have some trips to add to that later this summer.
Yes, and for the big guys out there in the galaxy, we're helping you. Look, this is what you're
Yeah.
going to get.
Yeah.
Okay. So the plane wasn't packed on the way out there, so it was rather comfortable. And I rented a car from Enterprise, and let me tell you, Enterprise is a great, great company. So maybe we can get the logo of Enterprise Car Rental up
Yes,
there.
I've been using Enterprise. That's the only company I'll use.
Yes. They're
They're
the go-to.
professional. They got their act together.
Yeah.
Never had an issue whatsoever. So I'm there with you. The Enterprise is a number one.
Right. And I was a bonehead and I did something to the car because it was a Miata or something, something, something. And the battery ran dry. The red battery ran at the hotel. And uh, I called the 800 number. And I said, "Oh, we'll send someone out here in 2 minutes, 20 minutes. They'll be there." And the kid showed up. Now, here's a whole technology thing that's interesting. You and I are old cable guys. Remember cables from one battery to the other? This kid showed up in a van and he had something that was no bigger than a transistor radio that sat in his palm of his hand and two wires. He connected it to the battery and said, "Turn it on. Let's chat for a couple of minutes." That was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
Well,
Yeah.
last time I rented a car, I did not go through Enterprise, and I remembered why. Because I went through a national brand. I waited in line like an hour,
Right.
and I get up there, and the guy, I said, "Here's my reservation." Blah, blah, blah. And he says, "Oh, we're gonna give you an upgrade, free upgrade, Mr. Kennerk." I said,
Yeah.
"Oh, great, thank you so much." So I go out to get in the car, and it's a van, a cargo van is my upgrade. But I'm tired, that's that, right? So I'm pulling out, and you got the guard there at the airport parking, right? You got to show
Yeah.
him the paperwork. So I
Yeah.
showed the paperwork. The guy goes, and cool guy. I said, "Hey, buddy, got a question. Now, be honest with me. Does this driving this van wreck my coolness?" He goes, "Yes, sir, it really does, unfortunately." I said, "Well, thank you for being honest." And off I went in my cargo van.
Well, you could have made a few bucks delivering pizza with it.
Well, it turned out I really did need it because I was at a family reunion, and there's a lot of cargo that goes around there.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So Enterprise is on our Camp Kennerk A team.
Yeah,
They're on the A team. Yeah.
yeah.
So anyway, so stayed at the Hilton Garden Inn on University in El Paso, Texas. Now,
Hmm.
here's a little story. When I went to college there, that is where our SAE Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity house was. And they tore down the old frat house and built up a Hilton and Garden Inn. So it's a big, big, and that's where we stayed for the uh, fraternity reunion. So maybe we can get a logo for to be posted, the Hilton Garden Inn, and for the Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity. We had about 18, 20, about 20 guys show up, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
We had reunions in San Antonio and Austin and Albuquerque, Tucson, and Phoenix. But since a lot of the guys still live in El Paso, they showed up. And it was just old guys, poker, that sort of stuff, Mexican food.
So you
But
didn't go back. You didn't go back to the fraternity house. Did you go to the fraternity house on campus?
well, the fraternity house was torn down to build this Hilton Inn.
Well, they didn't build another one.
No, they banned there's no more fraternities or sororities on campus anymore because of too much fun.
Ah, ah. So
Think of the great movie Animal House.
yes, yes. That's when the chancellor loses his sense of humor.
He did with us. When they put up the guardhouse, which was outside of our fraternity house, it made a beautiful bonfire.
Hey, what can you say? Idle hands are the work of the devil.
Yes, yes. Anyway, so we called the Hilton Inn Garden Inn our mothership because we all returned to the mothership over the years. You see, now I was in college from 66 through 70. So those of you who are in the galaxy who are quick on the math, you can figure out that I'm 49 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what was really interesting, the moment you get off the plane and you could smell the air, crystal blue skies, desert skies, crystal blue, 70 to 75-degree weather, and it had rained recently, so the smell of the mesquite in the air. And those of you around the galaxy who've never smelled the desert mesquite, it is intoxicating. It's beautiful. There it was.
So it's cheaper than beer, isn't it?
It's cheaper, it's free, and it's lovely. Yes, yes. So when I was there in El Paso to kill time, I was there for Wednesday through Sunday. I drove by my old house that our family lived in and saw how the bushes had grown. You know, Dad's rose bushes are gone, but there's some big evergreen bushes there. But the house looked like it was still in great shape. And I took a video of my house, and then I took a video or a picture of Jimmy's house, and then Mike's house, and Will's house and Kay's house and Mike's house and Peggy's house. These were all friends I went to high school with, and they haven't been back to El Paso. And we lived in the Eastwood neighborhood. Now, Eastwood High School was built in 1964. The first class was 65, graduating class, and ours was 66. And so we have a video of the new high school. Troopers, Eastwood High School as we know it is long gone. It stretches down that way and it stretches around the corner that way down to the stadium. Long ago and far away, Eastwood High School. Go Troopers. We have a video of the new high school. So they tore the old school down, and now they have this huge complex of the new high school, stadiums, blah, blah, blah. So Eastwood High School only exists in my memory.
Yep. Well, they tore my high school down as well. So
yeah, it's only there in my memory. Now, one of the things I did, I went to Fort Bliss to go to the Fort Bliss Military Museum.
mm-hmm.
That was absolutely fantastic. Now, here's a little story here. Okay. GPS took me to this particular gate. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to and there's a long line. I'm waiting there. I go to the gate. Army officer comes out and he says, "Where's your military ID?" And I said, "Well, I'm just a tourist. I want to get in to see the museum. It's over at the GPS. Take me here." And he looked at me and he said, "You're not in the military? You don't have military ID?" "No, sir. I'm a tourist. GPS took me to this gate." All of a sudden, this police officer or military police officer with a gun and everything shows up and says, "What's your name? Got any ID?" Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah. I said, "Well, Doug, my name is Doug, the neighbor. Want to go to the military museum." So, "Well, do you have a military pass?" "No." "Well, this is the military gate. You got to go all the way around here." And I said, "Well, GPS just took me here." He says, "That's okay. That's all right. Here, give me your driver's license." So he took my driver's license to make sure I didn't escape. So I had to make a big U-turn. He said, "Go here in this way." So I go around to this other gate. Okay, I had a name. I get there, and it's the reception gate for visitors. So, okay, fine. I get in there, and it's a cinder block building, probably half the size of your house, maybe the
Mm-hmm.
size of your garage.
Yeah, about
There's
400 square feet.
I'm sorry.
400 square feet.
Yeah, something like that. So I go on in there, and there's 10 people waiting, and there's a couple of people at the gate at the counter, and they're in uniform. And one guy was wearing a full flak jacket, sidearms, the whole full flak jacket. And I said, "You got a flak jacket on in here at the reception? Why? Isn't it uncomfortable?" And he said,
Mm-hmm.
"Well, sometimes when we fill in this application, we have to arrest people."
Oh, wow. Not
because
it.
the world's now all connected by computer.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. I said, oh, okay. So I fill in the forms and I said, now how do you get to the museum? He says, go through this gate, go through this, go around here and go this. So I go to that gate. Okay. And there's this female soldier, kind of cute little thing with her helmet down like this. But she had blue braces. And
Good.
I said, I like your blue braces. I like your blue braces. Look really good. She said, oh, thank you very much. And so I said, now, how do I get to the museum? How do I get to Fort Bliss Museum? He says, I don't know. She said, I don't know. TK.
You can't get there from here, Douglas. You can't get here from here.
So she said, just follow the road and see what happens. Okay, So I get in and I go back to the GPS Fort Bliss Museum and I follow the road and it takes me around a little bit and a little bit and I look in the parking lot and it looks empty. And I go try the door. The GPS took me to the back of the museum, to the back.
Ah.
And then I kind of looked around the corner and I saw some tanks out there. So I went around the front and I've got some videos of a tank. TK, I'm out here in West Texas in El Paso at the Fort Bliss Old Ironsides Museum. Here is a helicopter that's fully loaded with some cannons, machine guns. Okay, oh, blackout windows too. Okay, here's a tank right here. All right, very nice, cute little gun there. All right, packs a big punch. Here's a Goth tank, all black, and here's another tank right here. These little ones like this are kind of good for double parkers. You can just kind of really treat them. A couple of soldiers walking through there. Anyway, out here at the Fort Bliss Old Ironsides Museum on a beautiful, beautiful day in El Paso, Texas. Okay, the outside of the tank. Okay. All right. So now I was there to talk with a gentleman named Lee Smith. He is the museum curator. Okay. And now I have some of my dad's medals, and I thought this would be a good place to put them in this museum because he was the Canadian liaison officer at Fort Bliss from 1964 to 1967. And we have a picture of my dad getting a painting of Fort Bliss, holding it. So there would be the verification that he was at Fort Bliss holding this painting on, that sort of stuff. So I talked to this gentleman. He was very nice, Mr. Lee Smith, the museum curator, and he explained that the military museums across the United States right now are not taking in any extra stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And his particular Fort Bliss Museum was remodeling. So they had some stuff in the back.
So a little excess.
Yeah. Okay. So I have another video of inside the museum where looking at some tanks. Okay, let's show that. TK, I'm at the Fort Bliss Military Museum, and this is a German Panzer III medium tank. And there's some other tanks here. Okay. And these are the kind of little guys. There's one here. This is a Grant medium tank, and this is a Sherman tank. Those are kind of famous. Okay, these are bad boys. This one's kind of cute. It's a Jagdpanzer, self-propelled gun by the Germans. Okay, it's just a little thing. Look at that. All right, just a little teeny thing. This is a little teeny tank here, not very big. And then over here we've got some. Okay, there's a Jeep over there. And this is a tank destroyer. Okay, and this is a howitzer motor carriage, and look at this, it's got a cannon up there, and then there's the machine gun, just in case, just in case. Okay, Doug the neighbor here at the Fort Bliss Military Museum. Good fun. Take care.
Okay. Doug, those tanks are a little bit bigger than I remember, but then I've never been on one before. But are those hard? Are they hard to park, you think? How many quarters do you put in the meter when you park those things?
Well, I guess with that tank, couple of those tanks, you can park wherever you want.
Of course. What am I thinking?
And
Just have a little
somebody's in
brain
your
burp here.
somebody's in your spot. No, they're not. Just, you know, there were some bad boys there, and the video will show, Okay. Now, Lee Smith was very, very nice. He explained a few things. We had a nice chat, and he showed me what was there. Okay. So I asked him the next thing of, well, sir, I'd like to go to the Fort Bliss Military Cemetery. Okay. And he said, oh, then he said, you got to go out this gate and you got to go around here to get into the here. I said, okay, all right, fine. But it was easier than I thought. But now I'm at the third person telling me this gate, go for it.
Yeah.
So I get there. So I go to the Fort Bliss National Military Museum, or cemetery. I'm sorry, cemetery. Okay. Now, I have and one of my high school buddies suffered a heart attack at age 44. So I went there on a mission to see his grave. And I have a video, not of his grave, but of the expanse of this. And let me tell you, every American should go to one of these military museums, cemeteries, to see the sacrifice, how many of our Americans sacrificed so that we could live the life we live. It was
exactly. People talk about Arlington Cemetery, but there's one here in Dallas. It's a beautiful place. I've been there, and it's sacred ground. That's all I say. It's sacred ground, and you're right. You just put it in perspective that these people just didn't buy a plot and get put in there. These people, dedicated their lives.
Right. So it was something. It was something. Had a moment looking at my the grave of my high school buddy Doug Boyce. TK, I'm at the Fort Bliss Military Cemetery where our men and women in service gave their lives for our great country. They are laid to rest in hallowed ground. It is absolutely mind-bending and overwhelming at the number of people who have given their lives so we may enjoy our freedoms. This is our 250th year of our great country of America, and every American should come here to the Fort Bliss National Cemetery. Absolutely awesome, 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 awesome. What these people have done for our country and the ultimate sacrifice. He was a commander in the Navy, a medical doctor in the Navy, and in high school, he would always call me Chops. That was my nickname, Chops. He was the only one who called me that. And I never knew why he would call me Chops. Hey, Chops. Because he was a fun guy and he was really smart. He was a really smart guy. Well, compared to me, But and he always called me Chops. And I never understood why he called me Chops. And I left El Paso and he went on to college. But I have this vision of him calling me Chops. And so
that's what happens when you go to a place like that. You get things come back that you never thought of in 50 years.
Absolutely true. And there I was for a solemn moment with my friend, Doug Boyce. He served.
I'm glad you got to do that.
Yes, I'm very happy to do that. Now, these were little trips during the day. in my time in El Paso. And since I was on a cemetery run, I wanted to get them all done early because I knew I was going to be having some fun. So I went to the museum and then the Fort Bliss Museum. But I had some family members that not, excuse me, I had some a family that had been very good to me while I was in high school and college. And Dr. Carnes passed in 2008, and then Mrs. Carnes passed last year. So this was an opportunity to go to their cemetery and see and pay homage to them. They were very good people. Now, this story, because I'm going there with this, it's an odd story. So bear with me, okay? And I'm not trying to make this funny. I'm just trying to tell the story of a mission of mercy and remembrance for fine people, okay?
Hmm.
And they are buried at Lawn, which is
Uh-huh.
in northeast Dallas. Excuse me, El Paso.
Yeah.
I need some Dr. Pepper.
Get your Dr. Pepper. I'm gonna have one too. Been a
Yeah,
while. Need
yeah.
to.
My tongue's wandering all over my mouth here, you see. So I'm going to Restland and I go to the office and I
Hmm.
go to the office and I say, the lady there, 45, 50 years old, said, I'm looking for the crypt of Dr. and Mrs. Carnes. They're not buried, they're in a mausoleum.
Hmm.
Okay. And she's got the computer there. She looks away and she says, well, how do you spell their name again? I had to write it out, blah, 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 blah. Oh, what's DR stand for? Doctor, doctor. She asked me, what's it say? I don't know. Dr. Carn, DR, doctor. So she looks for a while, then she turns and she opens this book that was an old style ledger, where the handwriting has to be perfect and and it's old style ledger. And she goes to Dr. Carnes here. Now he was only buried in 2008.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So this thing is 18 years old, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
18 years
Yeah.
old. But here's this book that could have come out of the 1880s. And
Yeah.
she looks up the guy, Dr. Carnes' name, and then she goes back to the computer. Oh, they are buried, or excuse me, in a crypt number 196. And she gives me the map. Okay, 196. I said, well, thank you very much. So I go over to the mausoleum, and the mausoleum is a big structure and marble walls, and then you slide the body and so there, and then the names are on it. So I walk on in and I take like 3 steps. I don't see any numbers on the crypts. None. I take a few more steps in there, look over to the left. I don't see any numbers on the crypt. And then I go wandering around and I don't see any numbers on the crypt. So I get on the phone and she handed me this piece of paper. And let me tell you, the phone number at the bottom here, I had to take a photo of it because it was so small and then expand it and dialed her up. And I said, and they got the lady. I said, well, I'm over here at the mausoleum. I can't find number 196. How do I know? We'll send somebody over. So this nice young worker, gardener, maintenance guy comes on over. And I said, I'm looking for 196. And he wanders around and he goes, there it is right there. I said, well, how'd you know that? He said, well, I work here. But how would the tourist know that? How would someone who's come to pay their respects? And sure enough, there's no numbers around here. So I just like, oh my God, oh my God.
Douglas, I think you were set up. I think
I,
that kid just walked around there for a while and goes, okay,
yeah,
which crip are we going to use today? That's
I
what
was,
you would have done. That you would have done that if that.
I would have put post-it notes with numbers there because I've already wandered around. I said, come on, make it easy for these people, you know. And so, people can go there at night. They're lock it up at 10 o'clock at night or something like
Yeah.
that. Lights, so. But that was that incident. Now, let me back up a little bit. So I drive up to northeast El Paso and I find the Rest Lawn Cemetery. And I'm slowly creeping. I'm driving and I noticed some squirrels scamper across there. And the first thing I noticed was, well, that's a fat little squirrel. A couple of them. Oh, they're little fatties. This is fat squirrels, you know. I'll just blow it off. So I drive a little bit more. There's one or two there going, one going that way and one going that. Oh, they're little fatties. Oh my God, they're fat little squirrels. Because here in Austin we got some squirrels, but they're kind of skinny, you know, because they're fattening up for winter. So anyway,
Yeah.
so here's some fatties. Oh, that's fatties. So driving along, and then I walk back to the mausoleum up there, and I see the squirrels are burrowing squirrels. They're burrowing into the ground of a
Uh,
cemetery. And I go, oh, maybe that's why they're getting so fat.
maybe it's sort of like a groundhog, but it's just a squirrel groundhog.
With lots of food down there to eat.
Yeah, yeah.
So, that's my story to you concerning this, because we can't put it out in the galaxy that there's squirrels there eating bodies at Restland.
Yeah. Well, Douglas,
Yeah.
let the galaxy use their own imagination.
Well, that's why they're fat.
Mhm.
So now what was kind of interesting is during the day, I went to the L&J restaurant, which is just a terrific Mexican food restaurant in El Paso. And I believe we have a picture of the L&J restaurant, great Mexican food. In El Paso, if you say you're going to L&J, everyone knows what you're talking about. Okay. Now, the L&J restaurant is right next to Concordia Cemetery. Now, it sounds like I'm on a cemetery tour, but it's just right there, you know. And this cemetery is rather famous because it dates back to the early days of El Paso, like the 1600s and the 1700s, and they have some older graves there, you know. It's been around a long time. And the Jewish cemetery is off to the corner, so it's a major cemetery,
Mhm.
okay, in El Paso. But what's more interesting about it is also the burial place of John Wesley Hardin. And John Wesley Hardin is a real live but dead Texas bad man. They have written books about this guy and movies about this guy because they have documented that he killed 42 people. He was a
He
bad
bad
dude.
boy.
Yeah. And we have a video of that, and we'll show that right now. Now, he was famous not only during his life, because they captured him down in Florida. The Texas Rangers went to Florida, captured him there, brought him back, put him in jail for only 10 years, because that's all they convict him on. And he became a lawyer, and then he came back to El Paso, and then he was killed by a man named Selden or something like that. Selman. And it's El Paso lore. Now, this is the 1895 that he was killed. So, but they buried him there. But even in death, he was a legend because years later, some crazy yahoos and cowboys decided to steal his body and do something with it. So when you go to this grave, it's in a cage. The whole thing is crazy. He's buried, but it's in a cage. TK, I'm in El Paso, Texas at the Concordia Cemetery at the grave of John Wesley Hardin. He is a real live cowboy bad guy. I mean, he was bad. He is documented to have killed 42 people, spent time in prison and learned how to be a lawyer, and then came to El Paso where he was killed in about 1894 5. Now, this is his grave site here at the Concordia uh, Cemetery. Now, even in death, he was legendary because they tried to steal his grave, his body, his remains. Thus, it was put into this cage-like situation to protect it. Now, he is a real live bad guy, John Wesley Hardin, okay, here in El Paso, Texas. So, and it's something to see that,
It
so.
really is. That's you know, that's just the way to call. That's a new phrase for a captive audience in the cemetery.
Captive audience in the cemetery, yes. So then, and it's El Paso lore, and when you hear that out in the West Texas town of El Paso, that's really was it. And
Mhm.
Pancho Villa wandered around there, and Billy the Kid run it. And you can say, well, it's only in the movies. No, in El Paso, they got bullet holes, and this happened here, and that sort of stuff. They really work it, that sort of stuff. Now, went to another Mexican food place for lunch called Avila's, and got some. That's got a maybe we can get a logo. It's called Avila's, and got some. That's got a maybe we can get a logo, and I've got a video of a picture of their food there. That was really good. That was really good. Okay, now. One of the situations that why I was in El Paso dealing with my fraternity brothers, and it was good to see them. We paid for a party room between two rooms so we could set up some poker tables. Now we're talking penny ante poker, and I used to
Mhm.
I watch these, and I'm not a card player, I don't know, but these guys, spend all their Saturday nights playing card games, and a couple of them are cowboys. Junior Campbell's a cowboy, so he's traveled, playing poker. But I call it little girl poker because each time they passed the deck to deal, okay, they all had their own rules and their own game. Now, I've heard of five card stud, but I'd never heard of Chicago, seven card stud, pass the trash. And then one of them was, okay, threes, sixes, and nines are wild, black fours are wild. Pass the trash, three, two, one, three cards, one and two cards, and then something else, $1 to get in, and each guy had their own rules for their game, and then they spent the game playing their version of poker, trying to understand now what's the rule again. What? Oh, no, you got to roll this card. No, you pass that one and roll that one, and so
That's too confusing, Douglas.
I
That's,
know. All right.
that's,
Well,
I think
that
you're
made
right. Stay out of those games because
Yeah,
if
I
you,
sat on the sidelines. There's about four or five of us that sat on the sidelines and just listened to this banter. Now, these guys were playing poker back in college.
hmm
Okay. So it was just a flashback to then. So they've been giving BS back to each other, and just stuff was flying, you know. And now what threes are what? Something like that. And oh, my buddy Daryl, he was sitting there. I remember it was like the second hand in. He had a royal flush. He had a royal flush. Yeah. And everyone's looking at it. And then Junior turned over five twos. And Daryl just stood there and he said, Junior, your chips, your cards, your game, I'm out.
yeah.
Yeah, it just was wild. He was just stunned, He said, I've never had a royal flush in my game. So that sort of stuff, and we're in
hmm
a party room and it's 20 feet from the men's room, that sort of stuff. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so it was really, really good fun. But I want to bring up something that was terrific. It happened. Steve, my fraternity brother Steve, he kind of mother hand organized this whole thing. Yeah. And I kept saying, man, it was like organizing chickens, or kittens, you know. And he said, man, how can I help you? That sort of stuff. And,
Mhm.
people pitched in some bottles of wine. I brought in a couple of cases, that sort
Mhm.
of stuff. Everybody
Mhm.
pitched in. So,
Yeah.
and then he would clean up and that sort of stuff because there would be not Animal House style beer cans all over, but it had to be cleaned up, that sort of stuff. And so he came down from New Mexico and he had some food for us. Okay. And they were really good. He had these pralines, okay,
Mhm.
pralines that were just really good. And he had something called cheesecake sopapillas with honey. Cheesecake sopapillas with honey. And I said these, and I went through, I probably went through half a box, just like these are.
Yeah.
And I said, well, are you now cooking? He said, no, my wife Maureen is makes this sort of stuff. I said, well, it's really good. And I
Mhm.
brought some home and I said, does she have a little company? And she said, no. And I said, well, she should. She
Mhm.
should. She should. You could call them Maureen's Pralines.
There you go. Isn't that
So,
clever?
and Maureen's Pralines, you see. And so I'm eating yours. I'm eating yours.
That's
Sorry.
okay. That's all right. Because I drank your beer last night.
You can have it after I was swimming in it this weekend. I'm on yogurt and water. Apples, So Maureen's pralines, they're quite good, and I'm going to make sure that this podcast gets to Steve, that we did mention his wife, and they're really, really good, especially the cheesecake sopapillas. Oh, they're both of them, just both of them. Okay, so that is at night we would go during at lunch we go out for lunch, L&J, Avila's, a couple other places, and then at dinner we go out and have a dinner, and then back to cards.
Mhm.
But one of the other things that the reason I was there, and you know why, because Saturday, June 13th, is the top of Possum Trot Flipper Walk. You were there last year, benefiting Dell Children's. This is our 6th year, and we have some really cool flyers. Maybe
Is that your
like
new art department? Did they put that together for you?
no, the art department. This is the A-team art department. This is EP, who's 19 years old, and we have this particular one, and we have some from TWOW, who's 14 years old.
Ah,
Put them on the payroll. There you go. So that's what we do. Now, the top of Possum Trot Flipper Walk, our 6th year for Dell Children. That's why I'm wearing my little uniform. People ask me, there's a hole in the hat there, and that's because I think too much. And my outfit, I'm ready. I've been practicing. I've been.
so Doug, I want to send you some money. Where do how do I donate to your cause?
If you go to GoFundMe and look up 6th annual top of Possum Trot Flipper Walk on GoFundMe.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. 6th annual top of Possum Trot Flipper Walk. You can donate money there. Now we flip up those 2 vicious hills in
Hmm.
scuba flippers, their 6th year, and the winner gets the prestigious Bluebell bucket. The
Yes.
prestigious
The
Bluebell.
very first season. I remember last year when the winner was just so happy,
Yeah,
and
we had co-winners. We had Maggie and we had Blair, who's 5 years old. Maggie's,
uh-huh.
and also they get the Longhorn, the flip off Big C keychain with the Longhorn on it. See,
Hmm.
so it's a serious, serious situation. And I have been out passing out flyers in my bucket here. walking along in my bucket, working at it and handing out the flyers to all the neighbors, doing that. So looking forward to the top of Possum Trot Flipper Walk. And while I was in El Paso, I shot a video up on Rim Road. Okay.
Okay.
So we'll play that video. Hi, I'm Doug the neighbor, and I'm out here in the West Texas town of El Paso, Texas, my hometown, and I'm here to promote the Top of Possum Trot Flipper Walk, where we walk up those 2 vicious hills up Possum Trot in awesome Austin, Texas, benefiting Dell Children's Cancer Fund to flip off Big C. Come flip, come cheer, come donate. I'm Doug the neighbor. Flip off Big C from El Paso, Texas. up on up on Rim Road to promote the Top of Possum Trot
Yes.
Walk. Okay. And also I got this cool refrigerator magnet, to add to my collection for El Paso. I've got 19 of them. I didn't realize I had so many though.
All from El Paso?
No, just this one from El Paso. Most of them are from places in Texas. You're at the airport and you forgot to get somebody something nice and yourself. Well, refrigerator magnets are cheap and they go in the bag immediately. So,
well, and back in the day, it was always little spoons, little
oh
souvenir
yeah, spoons.
spoons.
Yes,
You
yeah.
know,
Don't see much of that anymore, but that's
I
kind
think
of.
I think what happened. Now, this is speculation that those spoons have found a different utility than being in a little box on the wall. But that's just,
Mhm. Yeah. Or the price of silver skyrockets. Screw the spoon.
yeah, exactly. It's more valuable scrap.
Grandma's spoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so it was a great trip, promoting the Top of Possum Trot Flipper Walk. It was a great trip. Seeing my brothers, fraternity brothers, after so many years, and it was a great trip. Taking photos of the old houses and high school where we went, and photos where my friends lived in our neighborhood of Eastwood.
Mhm.
Seeing the tanks at Fort Bliss, going to the military cemetery, but that was something. That was
Yeah.
something. That was really something. Great Mexican food. Had a great time. And then I come back. All right, first day back, I have to do some work, getting everything all together. Hang on just a second. Getting paperwork, receipts together, right? That sort of stuff. So I have to staple them and all. Remember my cool stapler, cowboy blue stapler. So I have to staple. Well, when I bought it, the guy at Office Depot loaded it up with staples and said, "Oh, great." And he gave me this box where the staples are. Okay. Well, I couldn't figure out how to open the box. There's no tab here. There's no tab here. There's no hinges over here. There's nothing here. So I had my little pen trying to figure it on out for about a half hour until I got frustrated. And then I just broke it. I just broke it.
Doug, there's a YouTube channel that shows you how to do that.
Well, swing line, let me tell you, the SF3 Staples premium box, they got to put open here sign. They got to put press here sign. I worked at this. So I'm now back to real life in awesome Austin,
In
Texas.
other words, the party's over.
The party's over. The El Paso party's over. We have the Top of Possum Trot Flipper Walk on Saturday morning. I'm really looking forward to it. In the meantime, I got some cheesecake sofapillas, and I'm really good to see it, TK. That's what I got for you. Play ball.
Aaron Gobra.